Hey everybody, Eric the Nobody Trader. It's 5/13/2025, just after 5 o'clock where I'm at. I figured I'd try to do an update tonight since the market's moved so much. This is all for education. I'm just showing you, what I'm looking at in the market, the levels I'm looking for as far as support and resistance goes. So here's the disclaimer, which you should read. And let's get on with it. So here's a daily chart of the NQ. E-mini 100 futures contracts. And over the weekend in the video, I did we were right here at this 255, 260 level. And then Sunday night we had news, right? And it just blew up. And it ran, again today, or last night and today, I guess. But anyway, I figured we'd throw some levels on here and look at where they're headed. And I got to get better about that. I really haven't. I can't remember honestly if I gave you guys this upper level or not, but I want to give it to you now. So 21,457, that will be resistance. It's not going to waltz straight on through there. You can see we had the gap up, right? And we still have a gap down here to fill. Now it can take a long time for markets to, come back and fill these areas. But right now everything's looking bullish. But I would still be ready for anything, if just because anything can happen, right? Bullish trend always comes to an end, and so does a bearish one. So anyway, we have the 50% level, the 856.50, which was resistance. They got it through there, but it did come back in for a retest. And that's something I want to reiterate, or maybe I haven't even said it. But the market always comes back for a retest. It can be a 1-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, a 15-minute chart. It doesn't matter. They all mean the same thing, right? It's just a shorter amount of time if you're looking at a minute chart versus an hourly chart. But they constantly test and retest levels. So what I'm looking at here on the NQ, I'd expect a possible pullback somewhere in here. Let me get rid of these other lines on profit. Sorry about that. I'm used to them, and so I like them on my chart. But anyway, nonetheless, we have this 156, 21,156.75, which will be, some support. I don't rely on the 0.75 or the 2.5s too much. The 50%, there's usually always a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, whether they're coming into it, whether they're coming from below up into it. So you can make some good trades there if you're day trading a lot of times. At least I can, right? So these levels are important to the market. And let me just take this down to, let's do say a 5-minute chart. I just want to reiterate, when I'm giving these levels out, there's typically a reason. If we come back to this 50% level here when it blew up, that's the first place it found some rejection. And that was still a 50 to 100 point move going down. So, these levels kind of give you a chance in the market a little bit, I should say. But look how we went up. We get above it, they go back below it, we come up. It's got to work at that level either direction, right? It doesn't just waltz straight on through. So anyway, we pop above, right? We retest again, and then we trade all around it. It looks like last night, and then finally we start running up again. And here what I see is they haven't come back in and retested the 156, 157 level. So there's a good chance of that happening. So, just be careful. This is not coincidence, right? It's math in the market. It consolidated below this 555 level. It had a gap, right? We did the big gap up there again, we're looking at a 5-minute chart, but you can see like it had to work to get through here, and then they blew it up. Where'd it go? Stopped right there. Had a pullback. So anyway, if there's people watching this that don't think they can trade this on a day trading type thing, well, you're wrong. Those are great places to trade. Now, it doesn't matter if you could do the same thing, drawing lines on a 4-hour chart time frame and then trading against it, day trading in a 1-minute time frame or whatever you want. But I'm just illustrating that the levels work, trend lines work, right? Trend line breaks work. So, it takes there's characteristics to kind of everything. And when you see them come up to a level like this and it gets rejected, which normally it will, the first go round, they always come back in for a retest, right? Got rejected again. But see how it keeps hovering below this level. Sooner or later, they're going to get over it. If it doesn't get a nice big rejection, like say down here, right? Well, I guess it didn't quite hit, but get my point. Is it just took off, right? But if, say, they dropped down and then they started hovering just above this profit level down here, it's probably going to break at some point. So, and that's with any support and resistance. It really doesn't matter. And those things will help you over time. I know it really helped me, I guess I should say. Some people might not have any issues with it at all. But we also have to be mindful that just because the level is there doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work. But what it does do is it gives us where we can put a few more of the odds in our favor a little bit, these areas of support and resistance. So anyway, I've had a lot of people looking, but nobody really subscribing and this and that. So that's okay. I'm just, I'll keep this up for a while, but I guess if I can't catch anybody's interest, I'll just, won't do them. But, these are great places to look for trades, get out of trades, all of that. And there again, I still plan on doing training videos. Guys, I just haven't had time, but I will get there. So anyway, enough of that. Let's go to, what do we want to go to? Let's go to the SPY. We're probably looking at a similar deal. So we have, actually, let me go back, because the main thing I wanted to do is give you levels, and I went on a rant, so I apologize. But so we have the NQ 21,457.50. That will be a big level. We have the 21,153, we'll call it 154 level. We have the 50% level here, which is a big level, 857.75, 20,000, 857.75. And let's get our next level up here. So if we keep going north, if we get above, this what was it again? 457 level. The next big resistance will be the 757.25. But what we want to be mindful of is there's a good chance they do a pullback and a retest on this level, because they really haven't done it yet. They did it on this one, right? And it finally got rejected and took off. So anyway, those are the levels I'm looking at that might come into play the rest of this week. Let's take a look at the SPY. Let me go to a daily chart. So, well, we've got a huge gap from about this 567.61 level all the way up to 577.11. So I would put a line on your chart, because if they come back and they break this low on this daily candle right here, there's a good chance they're going to come in and fill that gap at minimum. What we also have there, I think, is our 50% level. And we do. So there will be some support there, and that's the 566 level that I'm looking at there. Let's look at actually, no, let's do this. Let me give you the rest of the numbers. So we got 587.62, and we got 597, or excuse me, 594.74. They're not just going to waltz right on through there, not on that one, unless they gap above it or something like that. And then we have 601.87, even further north. And then way up here, which I'd be surprised if it got there this week. I mean, it could. We still got a few days left. So that one's right at 609. So be mindful of that gap. And then the 566 level. Let's take a look at an hourly chart real quick. Excuse me. Yeah, so, we're kind of breaking down below it, but who knows what happens through the night in the news. So, just be careful. They might roll over and come back in for a retest. So, and the reason I say that as a lot is it's bit me a lot because I've watched it break one of these levels and I get in and then it goes against me on the retest, So I try to be patient, try to wait for the retest. But it doesn't always work out with my schedule, as far as what's going on and being able to get in a trade and whatnot. So I think we've covered the levels there for the most part. Let's take a look at, there's nvda. And it's still going up, it looks like. And I know it's hard on some of these. You kick yourself, go, gosh, if I would have got in, I would have made a pile of money. Well, that's the problem with the future. We don't always know, and you can lose a lot too. So the 131.35 area, it got rejected at, and we have gaps all over the place. We have a gap here. Let me blow this up. So we have a gap from the 124.50 level back down to the 123. And, we still have a gap way down here too at this 120. Yeah, it's about 118.30. So everything's going crazy up right now, but it will reverse. Just because it has to. Let's look at a hourly chart real quick. Actually, there I go again. So we got the 131.35 level that we need to close above. The next big level up is going to be 135.68. And there again, they're not going to just waltz through that one. And then the next numbers, since everything's going crazy north. Oh, I think I was off a little bit. So if we clear this 135 level, we're looking at 139.98. And above that, the 50% level, 144.28. We have the 127 down here. And what is this one here? The 122.70 area. Let's take a look at a hourly chart real quick. And yeah, we got rejected right here. So I'd expect at least to pull back into the top of this big breakup candle. Let me blow this up. Sorry. I'd expect a pullback at least into there, the 129.23 area, and then have to see what it does. If they start trying to retrace this candle, or who knows what can happen, So you can see how these levels work, right? So anyway, I think what do we got? We got one left. Let's look at Tesla. Let me go to the daily chart real quick. I'm trying to keep these short, but I also, and I challenge everybody, just put these lines on your chart. These levels I'm giving you, put them on your chart, and you'll be able to see what happens when it comes into them. It's basically similar to Fibonacci, but to me this is more accurate. So, I mean, these levels are plotted for the year, right? The math has already been done. So these levels do not change. It's calculated for the year. So anyway, all I can hope is that it helps somebody out there, besides me. And I'm a mechanic by trade. Always have been. I always got to figure out how something works. And I spent a long time coming up with this thing. But enough of that. So daily levels. We have a level up here at the 348.52. Let me get some. Fibonacci going here. So we got rejected at the 336.50 area. Well, at least we closed below it. We have had this gap up. I talked about this candle, and I even discussed, unless they gapped up, right, we were looking at possible pullback. But they gapped up overnight, shot up, and then shot up again. So we have the 324.92, which should be good support. We have the 313.30 if we get below that. And back down here, we're back at the 30, basically the 302 level. And if we do get through the 336.55, and maybe I already said this, we're getting to the 348.40. Let's take a look at an hourly real quick. And yeah, we still have this gap too down here. I mean, if it really comes back down, which it could. So we have a gap also at the 311.50 area, down to the 299.80 area. So make sure and at least put those lines on your chart. Let's see. Let's look at a 5-minute. So you can see how these levels work, right? Opportunities all over the place. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I do appreciate you watching the videos. And I'm hoping in the next couple weeks I've already started on a couple training videos. I just don't have them completed yet. But I'm just going to start with the basics, and I'm not charging anything for it. It's all going to be free. And please like, subscribe. You can follow me on X, and hope everybody makes money this week. Good luck out there. Thanks for watching.